What's going on here?
You hear us?
Oh, well,
There we go.
yeah.
You hear us
Computer's all
now?
wigging out. The camera went out now. What happened to the camera? Nice. You know, when we get things going here, we just like to like throw in a curveball, make it fun. I don't know. It's like all of a sudden you can't hear us, now you can't see us. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Colorado CannaTopia. Got Kush Coach here, H Jim. What's up, guys? We'll do our spiel again, alright? So what Kush Coach was saying is I'm gonna do a fat old dab because I can.
Yeah, so he's got like a gnarly amount of concentrates in this banger. So basically, here in about 30 seconds, I'm going to be doing the show by myself. So let's enjoy the show real quick.
This guy.
See what happens.
I was smoked all day, so I should be good. I should be good, man.
Famous last words. What up, guys?
What's up, Clint?
Good to see you, man. Hey, what up, Jimmy?
Jimmy! What's up, Zach?
So, tonight, while James proceeds to pull this crazy dab, I think we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about like this event that we went to over the weekend, and then I kind of want to continue on from last night's topic into a couple other stuff. Me and Jimmy are really good friends, and we talk all the time, and he brought up some stuff that I think would be a good another good topic for tonight's show. So we're gonna get into some of that stuff, and how to really like read and adjust for plants. I think is really important because they don't all behave the same, and you will notice that some are different than others. So it looks like he's gone through the first couple runs of concentrate in the bottom. Like I said, he is probably not going to be with us here in the next month.
Whatever, man. I'll be good.
No. There's like a gram of concentrates.
Is it like a gram?
You're going to be so fucking high at the end of that.
I mean, that's pretty close to gram.
Do it. Do it. I just want to see. I want to see you pass out after doing concentrate. Like... We're gonna make it educational, fucking for sure.
Jeff's a good influence, guys.
You bit the head on the snake. We're gonna see where it takes you. So right now he's got like this whole gram puddle just going on underneath his.
It's about to ready to just like cannonball me right now.
Don't do this at home. This is not the way to responsibly medicate, but it is fun to watch. I can't do dabs like that, you guys. That's why I talk shit, because I'm jealous. That should have made me cough my ass off.
I used to be able to do bigger ones.
Yeah, fuck all that. I remember back when the gram dab was like a huge thing, and it was like when concentrates were first hitting the board, dude, it was like funny to sit down with your friends who have never dabbed before and put a big old glob in the banger and just fucking watch them cough till they passed out with a hot dab. I just have like bad experiences with concentrates, and
You
I
got
think
bad friends?
not necessarily bad friends, just it was the time, like when you know, when things are new, like everybody's like, oh, you gotta try this. We went through it, you go through it, like
Gotcha.
I don't know. It was just a lot of just I mean, I can do them and I enjoy them, but I prefer like traditional style hashish just because of I get almost the same intense effect, just more controlled in my opinion, because there's times where I'll take a dab and bite off way more than I can chew.
Bro, when it comes to hash, honestly, I feel like there's a huge difference.
Oh, there is.
And when I smoke hash, I get 99 time almost 100% of the time. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you just get that different level of high that's just like... Soon gone. You better say goodbye, good night, say hello.
See, and that's where I function best mentally, when my eyes are half closed. I'm serious, dude. When my eyes are half closed and I feel kind of this like rock in my brain,
I feel it.
I can like think more clearly and slowly, and I'm more relaxed, and I can sit in the moment and relax more. Like,
yeah,
there's just a lot more that happens, I think, like, and that's part of the reason why I probably enjoy hash a lot more, is because it does, like, I don't know, it just kind of puts me in this vibe where I can just kind of catch the moment and not be so wrapped up in my own dome piece.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. But with that being said, it's always impressed me, those guys that can take like a whole fucking gram. Like, I see them take the
slabs,
mad slabs, dude, and pull that shit like the whole time on like an e-nail or something. And they never cough. They never cough. They just. And I'll pull like 10 seconds on like some kind of Puffco or a dab rig or something, and I'll cough for like 20 seconds. I can't even take a second hit.
It's a wicked transition. Are you talking about the dinosaur eye that we just switched screens with? Yeah, that's pretty cool. We got a couple other ones that are really cool that we like to use, so keep an eye out for those as you see them. Hey, let's see if I can remember it.
Can go eat 420?
It's the RSO, get rid of cancer cells guy. Or gal. I don't know what their gender is, but what's up?
What up, guys? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to get into kind of go into like our little experience at this. It was like a local growers get together, right?
Oh yeah. So the Montrose get together. They had a name for it. I want to say CannaFest or not that, but like it was something unique. I really liked it. It was catchy, but I guess I can't remember it.
So this is kind of something that's building steam, and we're gonna. I think the word as we're left is hopefully maybe this will turn into a regular thing. But it was a really cool kind of get together. When we went, I'd say me, James, and my buddy Miles from We Should Taste Good were probably the youngest people there.
Probably.
Everybody there was typically in their, I want to say 50s, 60s, which I can actually appreciate, because as the Kush coach, that's typically the demographic I shoot for, believe it or not, because those are the people who are really trying to use it medicinally, and they don't necessarily want to navigate the dispensary setting, so teaching them how to make their own product is really the best way to go. So that was a cool place to network. The really dope band.
Oh yeah, that band was great.
Yeah. Only thing I would like to see is maybe a little more space, a little more people, and a little more organization, but with like a first thrown together event just to see what people were into. Dude, I had a blast actually. The band, it was just like a bunch of local dudes who played like cover songs for a bunch of other bands, and I was into it, dude.
And I don't even think it was a full band. I think it was a couple guys that came together for the event, because I think one of the guys wasn't even part of the band, from me just kind of overhearing some of the things they were saying. But yeah, man, they sure pulled it off. They sure pulled it off nicely. What's up, Aaron?
Force people on medication in all areas of Canada, even if they haven't been found guilty of a crime.
I don't know about Canadian laws. We're in America. But I mean, I know that some people are forced to take medication, and I don't really have an opinion on it, because it's really a large demographic. And so it's really hard to really base a decision on just a broad thing.
Yeah.
You know? It could be good, it could be bad. It just really depends on the person and the circumstances, and there's too much in between for me to make a decision or a judgment or opinion on it whatsoever, honestly. But I feel like anything in our world could probably use work. There's nothing wrong with doing better.
Right.
Canada is in North America for sure, but I think we're just trying to gauge locations on like where we are.
Yeah. So, anyway. I feel like we got off track there.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a dope little event, and I think anybody who's looking, if you're in a legal state, legal country, wherever you're at, and growing cannabis is legal in your area, and you're able to share and openly discuss what you do, I highly recommend getting together a local growers group, whether it's like a growers coalition or just a get together that you guys do at the end of every season. But creating these like local farmer alliances can really be beneficial to you long term, because it creates this sense of community within your area around cannabis, that allows other people within your community, within the community you live in, outside of the cannabis community you're a part of. It allows them to see what that's like on a more socially acceptable level, and they become a lot more friendly towards it. So you can actually, if you live in a town that's maybe kind of leery of cannabis growth and consumption, it definitely behooves you guys as growers to get together and set the town's mind at ease, essentially, that you're not criminals, you're not evil people, you're just another type of farmer that's friendly and maybe a little bit grouchy sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you've worked a long day and you're tired, and somebody's harassing you about smoking some pot. That's really, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. And I think get-togethers like this, like we went to, are huge, because we get to know what everybody, we get to talk to each other and say, oh, what are you doing this year? Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, where'd you run? Oh, you did really good. Oh, I didn't know you were growing up there and did a good job. Oh, okay, cool. So, and that's where we got some of this flower that we reviewed on Monday, and I was going to bust some out tonight just to check out. And that was one of the guys that we met at this little get together, and it was really just a good time to network and really just kind of meet new people in the area that are like-minded, because again, the closer the community you can have, the better it is for everybody.
Definitely.
So all you folks in Canada, if it's legal for you to grow at your home, link up with people in your area, in your province, or whatever they call it, whatever the township is named, link up and really kind of create this coalition, this, I'd say, alliance with each other, because it does help you create not only a higher quality product, but it allows you to look out for each other and make sure that you're holding the best of the best.
Well, even if you're just trying to critique your own stuff that you've grown, it's a great way to get other people's opinions. Going to events like this and then figuring out, hey, this is a weed that I really didn't like, and then come to find out everybody there loved it. Like, stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So throwing your stuff out there can be a little, give you a scare, anxiety. We may be worried about how our stuff's going to taste to other people's opinion, but like, do it anyway.
Oh, dude, and I'm telling you, the feedback you get as a grower. So going into this, going into this little get together, I'm always nervous. Like, if I break out my flower, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. If I break out my flower, what are people going to think? How How critical are they going to be? And I can handle a lot of criticism on my flower because I use it as a way to improve. But I always wonder, like, how much is coming back to me that I don't know. And the best thing to do when you're doing that is never to just hand somebody some flower and say, this is mine, and watch them smoke it. The best thing to do is to basically wait till you've got a line of people down, your shoulder. 4, 5, 6, whatever. Roll up a fat old cannon, big one, and take 2 or 3 hits. Get that, I would say get the first, like, 1/8 of the joint burned. So, get it past that, decent part of the tip. Because there's not really a lot of flavor there, and sometimes it's a little bit harsh. So once you get it past, I'd say like 3 or 4 decent puffs. Pass it down to the next person. You can watch their face, but they've been smelling it coming off of your hit. So don't worry about that person. But the person next to them and the next 4 people, watch them. And you see their face. And their face, without them knowing whose weed it is, will tell you if they like it or not. And that's how you can really judge, completely blind. They have no idea who grew it. They have no idea what strain it is. They've just got a joint in front of them and they pull it and they make a decision on whether or not they like it or not. And when it goes down the line and you see person number 2 go, oh, that's good. Person number 3, yeah. Person number 4, really smooth. It's a huge compliment, and I saw that happen with the apple pie. I rolled some up and passed it down, and I watched pretty much everybody that took a rip off of it like, holy shit, that's smooth. Even the host lady that said she didn't combust, she only vaped.
Yeah.
She took a hit off the joint, and I heard her say how smooth it was, and I just looked at her, and I was like, thank you. She came up, she was like, you grew that? I was like, yep. She was like, good job. Appreciate it.
Nice.
And that's always like a huge compliment, you know what I mean? And I think that's another reason to get into those get-togethers, because you can, when they're a certain size, you can anonymously share your flower and get like a small group reaction on like, oh, okay, this is actually decent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like to do, I can do that as a ganjier, but just to see what the people are into, just hand out a couple joints, make sure one flavor gets it through 2 or 3 people and watch them and their reaction, because you'll know real quick. Like, if somebody handed me a joint and it was good, I'd almost camp that shit. Nobody would be getting it.
Nobody, don't hand your joints to Jeff.
Nobody's looking at me. They must not want them. If it's not good, I will. Good, and I'll pass it. And when it comes back around, I typically won't touch it again.
That makes sense.
Or I'll dip out the circle just because I don't want to be rude. So and I can be picky, dude. I can be really picky. Don't pass me your joints if you don't want judgment.
Yeah.
Because when you smoke enough decent weed, and I don't want to say like super dank all the time, but when you smoke enough good weed, it's really hard to like puff on some hay.
What's up, Danny? Yeah, no, it's super hard to puff on some like just Reggie hay stomper, grassy, cardboard. Nasty. Yeah, man. Well, and when we were kids and when we first started smoking, it was a lot easier to start smoking that kind of stuff. But, like, when you start smoking a lot of good stuff all the time, it's hard to go back, guys.
Well,
And then you get particular, and so you start cleaning your stuff every day, and then...
Oh, yeah, you become super, super anal.
Yeah.
Super.
I'm gonna block that guy out of here. I'm gonna block that guy.
Life's too short to smoke shitty pot.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah. I will say, everybody's definition of shitty is different. There is a standard of quality, but I will say what people enjoy in that realm of quality And I ran into this when I was at the Hillbilly Cup. You have a standard of quality, and that's very well established through the Gangier program and even other programs. Like, they recognize the same standards. Their level of evaluation may be different, but through that standard, you still find people who are like, "Oh, dude, I really like this type of flower. I really like this flavor. I really like, this structure or whatever." And those people are going to rate a certain type of flower higher. And I have very much met people who prefer softer, what I would call softer weed. I don't like swag is kind of rough. Because we don't really get what we considered swag anymore. Like,
I call it mids.
Like, it's even a step below mids. Like, that's why I say I call it lighter flower, because it's not super heavy in cannabinoid content, not super heavy in terpene content. For somebody who is, not got quite a tolerance, it might be perfect for them. And maybe they don't necessarily have the flavor thing dialed in yet. So it's, mids might have some structure and some trichome, no flavor. I'm talking like a loose seeded kind of not, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's not bricked up. So swag is not necessarily the term for it. But some people prefer that lighter flower because of the fact that they only need like a puff or two, and that's it. Yeah. So they're not trying to get into flavor. They're not trying to get into, all this other stuff. They just want to take their couple puffs and get stoned and be good. And that's totally fine. That's 100% fine. So being able to match people with stuff like that is, I think, important. But you get to meet all those people at little gather events. So always, if you get the opportunity to go to a little local get-together, do it. Network a little bit. Get to know some of your gather farmers and all that shit. With that, I want to go into kind of, unless you have anything to add on to your experience at the Montrose get together.
So, yeah, like you were saying, I just had a great time, and I can't wait to see more events like that, And so when we see more events like that, I really want to make sure that we get, like you're saying, a type of coalition, a type of community. Like, we really try to group together and try to orchestrate and plan things. And when we do this type of stuff, that's when big moves and legalizations and stuff like that can really push through, and then we can start reforming these types of things that we feel like need to be reformed and stuff like that. We really work together and make a lot of things happen. This type of stuff is super important, and it's the type of stuff like a lot of people aren't really doing too much anymore. So right now it's a crucial time for us to really try to collaborate and get together with that type of stuff.
100%. Until then, you got your local CannaTopia fam. We're happy to be your little local growers coalition. With that being said, I want to kind of move into a little bit more of what we were talking about last night. We're really going into amending plants or amending soil, and really diving into, sourcing and making sure that we know where we're getting stuff from, but also like knowing how to source stuff locally to close a loop in order to tighten up this product, input into our garden, so that we're not having to go out as far. We can get things closer to us. So if you guys were with us, you were watching the show last night, please feel free to throw some questions up in the comments, and that way we can really get we can kind of get rolling on some of this stuff.
Alright, took care of that.
Okay.
You gotta worry about that.
So, yeah, okay, I thought you were doing that.
Yeah.
We got rid of the goat.
We just blocked that user that needs to be blocked. I'll explain that to you later.
Okay.
Oh, I hope it doesn't mess that up.
So, holy cow. That was a lot. Is that handled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's handled. It's handled. And well, luckily our Facebook viewers can't see it also. It's like, there's that.
Yeah. Okay.
We only got one other YouTube viewer, and it was probably me, so I think he's the only one on there, like, but.
Alright. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's take care of. I checked. Yeah. I checked. It's still gonna pop up though, that's why I was telling you I gotta talk to you about that.
Anyways. So, I wanted to talk kind of tonight about, troubleshooting in your garden and really trying to decide what decisions to make in your grow. I was discussing with one of our viewers, and we always go back and forth, but the topic of, what do I need to do to prevent intersex trait or hermaphrodite showing up in this plant, because I've never had it before, so it's clearly something I'm doing. So we had to look at a lot of aspects in the grow and try and decide, like, where do we start? And typically, when you run multiple strains over and over and over and over and over again, and you're constantly running different strains, it can be really, really difficult to understand what it looks like when a plant that is relatively resilient doesn't show like a lot of response. Like, what does it look like when you overwater? What does it look like when you underwater? How do you know when a plant doesn't want a lot of water? What happens when a plant's drinking a lot of water and then it slows down? Like, how can you really tell what's going on with the plant? And then how do you kind of correct this issue? I had another guy, he had sent me a picture of one of his plants, and it was huge. He had it pruned up and trimmed, looked like a nice little bush. The only thing was a little bit nutrient deficient. Okay. And he was feeding, and he had a feed schedule, but I think he was just underfeeding slightly. Like, his plant just needed more food built up in its regimen. So instead of like bumping up parts per million, obviously, I told him, all right, let's increase the amount of time we're feeding.
Yeah.
Based off of the size of the plant and the pot and the medium that he was using. So I think it's important to kind of be able to run a plant a few times in order to go, oh, this thing's not feeding a lot, this thing's not drinking a lot. But if you don't have the ability to run a plant from clone after clone after clone after clone, then you have to learn how to tell what a plant wants based off of let's randomly, let's back off on some stuff just to see, let's check soil content, kind of moisture content in the soil kind of regularly. And that means checking pot weight, because a plant that doesn't drink a lot of water, the weight in the pot won't change drastically. And I have some plants like this where I'll water them in, and then I'll go out at night before the lights go out and check the weight, and they'll still have some decent weight to the pots. Other plants are dry. Like, they're very light, and I could almost water them right now. I just don't, because the lights are about to go out, and I'll catch them in the morning. But that is one really good indication of a plant that drinks a lot versus one that doesn't. Now, if you've got your plants in a big soil medium, then you want to make sure that your soil medium isn't exceeding like 35 to 40% moisture content. And if you're maintaining something above that, then you're most likely suffocating the roots. So,
is that with all soil mediums?
it just depends on how well it drains. You know. Oh, I got another one. Hey, hope that little guy's doing good, Aaron. So, again, you gotta really be paying attention to your plants, because deciding like, okay, how much do I feed this? How often do I feed this? If you're looking at them every day for longer than just a glance or two, you're going to notice subtle differences, like, oh, they're a little bit lighter green. I'm noticing some purple striping. Like, you're inspecting all of the nodes and you're going, oh, they haven't really moved anywhere in the last couple days. That type of stuff is typically an indication that something's going on. And you got to look like, oh, okay, so the plant's 4 feet tall in a 3-gallon pot. Probably needs some food. You know, it's probably going to need a lot more water. You know, like versus, okay, it's 2 feet tall in a 15-gallon pot, and I just watered 5 gallons. I think I can probably not water for a few days. You know what I mean? It's in freshly made soil, super soil, so I probably shouldn't top dress or add a tea or anything like that. So, like, if you're noticing issues at that stage, then maybe it's overwatered, you know? So you do have to reference, like, how much water am I giving a plant for a certain size? Like, even though we have a plant here in what looks to be as a 1-gallon pot,
it's super cold in here, guys, so
yeah.
It's like really droopy.
But the size of this plant requires maybe a liter of water a week. Maybe every 3 or 4 days. But this thing's not drinking very much. Most of the water is probably evaporating out of the soil.
It also depends how much you're watering it at that point, too, because, like, I don't water that bad boy that much, so, like, I water it every day.
So, like, if he's watering, like, 6 ounces, 8 ounces of water every day, that'd probably handle it. But he also probably maintains a weight. Like, if he's doing that, then this pot probably doesn't change its weight very often. So there's, yeah.
Chicken weight's awesome. It's a great way to... it really helps with your watering content. So when you're really trying to narrow in your watering and key in your watering, not only lifting your bag, but kind of measuring out how much water you're putting into your plant at the same time, kind of will systematically show you exactly how much water you need to give your plant.
So I use a pump sprayer.
Okay.
2-gallon pump sprayer. And basically is what I do is, especially on my big pheno hunts, is I'll watch, I'll count, pump, and I'll spray. And on that pump sprayer, it has everything marked out in liters. So its max is 8 liters. So I'm literally looking, I'm like, oh, okay, that plant drank a half a liter. And I check weight, and I go, okay, so it's heavy. This plant is drinking a half a liter of water a day. I'll go to the next one. Maybe that one's a little bit droopy. So I'll water that one. That one will maybe drink almost an entire liter. But it'll droop towards the end of the day. So I'm like, okay, this one's a heavy drinker. It's drinking twice as much as the other ones. where it's drinking 1.5 liters a day instead of 0.5 liter a day. And I'll go through and I'll note, and I'm like, oh, okay, so these ones really like to stretch their roots out. You can tell which ones, just by looking at the plant structure above, which ones like to stretch their roots out. Because the ones that don't mind being a little tight will still be perky. The ones that hate being tight, they'll look healthy, but they'll kind of be like, meh. The leaves will just kind of be there. Yeah. I don't know, it's really kind of crazy. But that's just through a phenohunt process. When you're dealing with just 1 or 2 plants, really the idea is you want to maintain a nice healthy green. You want to make sure that your pots are not overly wet. And if they're staying wet, if you're picking it up and going, oh, you know, this feels heavy, and you go in the next day and you're like, oh, that's still kind of heavy, and you go in the next day and you're like, oh, okay, it's a little bit lighter, wait still another day to water, right? You want your pots to dry back a little bit, so let them get light a little bit. Not completely dried back to where your leaves are droopy, but let those pots get light. And then water them again, and then let them dry back, and then water them again, and then let them dry back. And that's going to really help with this, not only the air pruning of your roots, so in fabric pots it really helps prevent root binding, but it also allows more oxygen to those roots to really be able to uptake more water, more nutrients. And if you're doing like a super soil, living soil method, then you obviously want to maintain a specific moisture content. I think it's like 35 to 40% is something you want to maintain within your medium over a regular basis.
I'm just gonna leave it up now.
Hey, what up, Don? Thanks for popping back in with us, man.
I love YouTube.
That's insane. What y'all think of this? I don't know who that is.
It's the same freaking guy or gal.
You gonna make another account and pop on here in a sec? What?
Yeah, watch. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna leave it up because watch.
You guys want to see some fun stuff? Pop into YouTube.
No, that's gone. It's gone. I deleted it all. Deleted all of that. It's gone.
Anyway, so a few things. I think we've done an episode like this. A few things to check when you're diagnosing problems. Make sure your light's solid. You want to make sure you're giving your plant enough light, not too much light. Make sure your VPD's on point, right? You know about VPD.
Yeah.
So we want to keep.
Yeah, you know me.
You know VPD.
Yeah, you know.
So VPD is something that's really important with the function of your plant. I mean, plants in nature can function outside of it, but when we're talking about cultivating indoors and we're really trying to get the plant to thrive and produce, the vapor pressure deficit is really, really important. Would you like to explain VPD?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not.
VPD is basically a correlation between temperature and humidity, and is what it does is it regulates how much of the stomata of the plant on the leaf is open or closed. That actually creates a specific back pressure in the plant. And you want this specific, like all plants have this back pressure build up, and it helps them from spontaneously like combusting, believe it or not. Like when you move water up 34 feet, 35 feet, it boils.
So that's super important to know for pesticides, and super important to know for things like foliar feeds.
So plants kind of have this ability to regulate that pressure. So in order to maintain an optimal pressure of moisture and nutrient uptake, you want temperature and humidity to be at this point where you've got a certain number of kPAs. It's typically like 1.3 to 1.9, something like that. What's up, Ryan? No, not quite single, ladies.
Should you always have at least some water in your tray?
No. You don't always want water in your tray.
Well, I mean, that depends on how you're gardening. If you're doing flood to fill, then yeah, kind of.
Well, yeah, okay. So depending on your medium, for sure. But if you're growing in like a soil base and you're trying to do this organic thing, you definitely need to maintain a certain moisture content. That's typically where it's like water to 40%, let it dry back to 30%. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. What do we got in here?
It's whatever Logan rolled up.
Uh-oh. I don't know. He was fucked up last night. I don't know if I want part of that just now. Yeah, it's the pressure between, the regulation between pressure from temperature and humidity makes a big difference. So you're looking at 80 degrees, 45, 50% humidity, somewhere around there. Powdery mildew in flower. What's the best treatment? Using Athena IPM weekly. Some humidity issues here in Missouri basement grow. Powdery mildew is difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Because I don't necessarily agree with spraying anything in flower.
Yeah.
Trying to think how far into flower are you, Ryan? I guess that should be the question.
That's the ultimate question. Right there. Honestly, it's probably better to cut your losses in any standpoint, because even if you are able to combat it, you have to consider you're going to have to be checking each and every single bud during harvest time. Make sure you're not getting any bud rot, because that powdery mildew can definitely lead to other stuff like bud rot and stuff like that. You don't.
So 4 weeks, like you're right at that point where you could probably hit it with something. As far as like what to hit it with.
What about that? You were talking about that? That you make it with the rice. You were talking about it the other day, and I was asking you. If you
I don't know if you could hit it with labs.
I think you can, man. I got a product here that you supposedly can use in flour. I don't know too much about it, but it's called ATAC. But you check it out. It's by Optic Foliar. But supposedly you can use that in flour. From what I remember, anyway.
Your nutrition.
Green clean? Honestly, that would be probably not a bad idea. Yeah, so there's milk washes I've heard about. Green clean is an alcohol base, and that's why that would be effective, is because alcohol potentially could kill your mold there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that, putting that on your flour, because it dissolves your trichome heads.
Exactly.
Trying to think, man, like, there is stuff you can spray on your plants. Like, I think like SNS 244C you can use. There's a lot of like insecticide, fungicides that are safe to use in cannabis, like the first like 2 to 3 weeks in flower. There's some they say you can use all the way throughout flower. It's really difficult to know if you've like knocked it completely down by the time you harvest, and then making sure that it's not coming back. I saw somebody say you can do a bud wash. I've not done them personally, but your bud wash is basically like a lemon water, a hydrogen peroxide wash, then lemon water, then regular water, and then another regular water, and then you got to make sure you dry it off really quick. I think Jorge Cervantes has a video on YouTube on doing a bud wash from some outdoor or some indoor that got powder mildew, and you can kind of see the progression. And honestly, I think if you're going to go through that process, you might as well just make bubble hash because powdery mildew spores are much smaller than like a 45 micron. So if you sift well, you're going to get a lot of that stuff out. You're not really going to have any PM present. But yeah, that's kind of, PM is, I don't know, any fungus or pathogen in your plant is always difficult. I would make sure after this harvest, maybe make sure that you clean your basement. Just get like a 2 or 3 gallon pump sprayer. Get some, make 3% concentrated hydrogen peroxide, or get 3% hydrogen peroxide. Dilute it 1-to-1 and spray your entire grow space down. Let it dry. Spray it like you'd be painting the walls. Let it dry and then spray it again. And I do that in my tent typically after every run anyway, just to make sure there's nothing residual. But every time I'm done with a project or anything, like, it's a 1-to-1 solution in my tent, and it happens 3 times, and all of it, everything, and it just makes sure that there's nothing kind of hanging out in my environment.
Bro, I totally know you can totally kill mold by effectively adjusting your pH in your water. I think it's raising it, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's lowering it. There's only 2 different ways. So
You need a Keegan machine to do that, though, and those are very expensive.
You need what kind of machine?
A Keegan machine.
What's that?
So it basically reconstructs the ions in the water to lower or raise pH. You can't use any chemicals. You have to make the water itself acidic, like via its own structure, and they use those for cancer patients. Like you can make water super alkali, which is good for fighting cancer. It slows down that mutation of the cells, freaks them out. So there was a farm that found out that if you go with a wash, and I'm trying to think, they start off with a spray of water that's an acidity of 2. That kills bugs.
That's crazy.
And then they come through and they foliar spray with an acidity of 11.
Whoa.
And that kills fungus.
Okay.
And the 11 offsets the 2 and doesn't fuck up the plant. But it will kill the fungus. Or knock back the fungus. So that's their IPM, is a spray of acidic water and a spray of alkali water.
That's badass.
But they have to use a Keegan machine. You can't do it with like a pH buffer.
Bro, I'll go in on one of those with you.
They're a couple $100,000 from my understanding.
Oh, damn.
Them shits are not cheap.
Go fund me.
I'm like, how do you make one?
Jeez, dude.
I'm telling you.
Thick today. Bye-bye. I don't know how many accounts this one person has, but it's getting annoying.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. It gets really old when people pop on and just start trolling your comments, dude. Cannabis hemp is awesome.
two subscriber, man, that you so awesome. Get out of here.
So it's, yeah. Anyway. Bullet rock spray.
They can kill bugs.
Yeah. It's so, fuck. Keep getting distracted.
Bleach with water for cleaning? You gotta be careful.
I mean, you can do that in your grow space for sure to help, if you've got pathogens and stuff like that. Hydrogen peroxide really does a good job. And, always cleaning is always important. Making sure your tools are clean too. I'll use a combination of alcohol, not necessarily together, but I'll use alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. Typically, if I'm using alcohol, it gets diluted down to a 70% mixture. And then that gets, my tools get soaked in that. And the reason why 70% is less than 70%, the alcohol actually evaporates too quickly. And so any disease or whatever, if there's a pathogen present, the alcohol evaporates too fast before it can actually penetrate the walls of the cell and kill the nuclei. So that 30% of water mixed in will slow down that evaporation and will actually allow the alcohol to penetrate that nuclei and dry it out and kill it. So everything gets soaked in alcohol. All my tools get soaked in alcohol for like 30 minutes or so to make sure that everything stays nice and clean. Anything that I necessarily don't want to use alcohol on, hydrogen peroxide is my go-to. As an oxidizer, you don't need it to be very strong, meaning that I can take 3%, dilute that down to a 1-to-1 ratio, and
thanks, Danny.
And it will suffice. So I'm basically using 1.5% hydrogen peroxide to clean everything, and that's enough to wipe out pollen and pathogens and stuff that may be, things like powdery mildew. And you can I clean my pots with it. Like I use fabric pots and even plastic pots. I clean all of that with that stuff and just let it soak on there and then evaporate. Once it dries out, another spray. Let it dry out, another spray. If you can pick up, like I go to the hydro store, pick up a gallon of 34% hydrogen peroxide. So diluting it down to 1.5% is not too tough.
No.
Gloves for sure. Always wear gloves. Always wear gloves.
Oh yeah. Whenever, yeah.
I can't see all these comments or the full comments.
Oh,
I know it's kind of tough because
yeah,
you're good.
I'm just trying to moderate that.
Hey, dude, I appreciate that, Don. I know. I see what you've been doing, brother. I know I don't always hit on everybody's comments and posts and stuff, and my thread always gets packed, dude. But I've been seeing you, Don, for the last few years. Don't worry. I see the work a lot of people put in. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with everybody, but dude, especially the people that were kind of around when I first got the Kush Coach thing launched off, and I see some of them pop up through and hear the video. About 4 or 5 years ago, I started really helping people. There was a small group of people in this group called Medical Growers helping medical growers, and they've been around. Some of them have ended up working in the medical industry, they work in the cannabis. They were really just I'm trying to learn pot, and they ended up in the industry and did some work. They've either come out of it, not that's not for me, or they've really crushed it over there. There's a lot of guys in Missouri doing really good. So I appreciate it, dude. And I see you. Danny look good. Switched over to see the drama.
I think I got it all covered, man. So much trauma.
Oh, look, he's fucking rocking both accounts. I see you, Danny. I appreciate you too, brother.
Oh, yeah, man.
Gloves. I use hospital gloves, so rubber gloves. I either use if I'm doing a lot of heavy cleaning, I use like 8 or 10 mil thick black like raised grip gloves, or if I'm working with like hash material, I use like non-powdered, not latex, but the other one, and I make sure that they're smooth. So depending on what I'm doing depends on the type of gloves, but I don't clean the gloves. They literally just get thrown away. They're there to protect my hands. They're there to protect the products.
Bro.
What?
I think he's talking about the one person.
Yeah, maybe.
Yo. Jeez, man.
Oh, yeah. There's some stuff in my garden that I don't reuse, like cloning scalpels. Scissors I will reuse, but those get soaked in isopropyl alcohol before and after I'm done with whatever it is I'm doing. And that's just to make sure that they are clean. Even if I'm really anal about this, I'll trim weed, and that was the weed is the same plant that I'm cloning off of, and I'll do all that, and every time it's like clean it up. Like everything's got to be re-sterilized, either new scalpel, because you don't want to pass along pathogens to your plant. Like everything potentially is carrying a disease. So if you've got a pair of scissors, say this is a pair of scissors, and we cut into a plant, even if there's no disease present, and then we cut into another plant, we could be passing something along that we don't know about. Even the fact that we haven't sterilized these and we cut into a plant, we could be passing along something we don't know about. Even if we use our fingers, we could be passing along. So cleaning is very important. And you don't need to be overly sterile, as weird as that sounds. But if you're slicing into hard tissue of the plant, your equipment needs to be clean. And I've seen a lot of problems come from just somebody cutting into a plant with like a pair of scissors that are covered in trichome head. Just like resin. And the reason being is moisture is in that plant, that head gets rehydrated,
Creates mold.
Mold shows up, and then you start getting it growing around the plant.
Yeah, inside the plant.
Yep. So it's really important to work with clean equipment.
Yeah.
And bugs and stuff, bugs, even their excrement can bring along pathogens. You get a fly that lands on your scissors and takes a crap, and then you go to cut, you have to kind of be, I don't want to say overly paranoid, but you have to be concerned about it. And yeah, cross-contamination. But I kind of want to get back into more troubleshooting stuff. How do you look at a plant really and go, oh, this needs this, or maybe you went through a run and you need to make some adjustments. Where do you kind of start? If you've kind of grown out a strain and you're like, oh, okay, that was really good. I know it could be better. Here's what I think needs to be adjusted on the next run. You ever kind of do that with plants?
Yeah. It comes more with trial and error for me, though. But I guess that's when you're beginning. But, I don't know, man. I don't run into too many strains that really differ, so I don't...
You don't notice ones that drink more versus ones that don't?
The strains I'm growing have been pretty similar recently, so I haven't really run into too many of that. I've noticed one of these strains that I've been growing recently has been growing actually like that. Okay, so in comparison to yours takes no water. Yep. I give it about the same amount of water as these two.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so that would probably be the most recent comparison I could compare that to.
Okay.
And Okay, so in the past, like in the hemp fields and stuff, we had plenty of strains like that are just like diverse as shit, man. And there was one, oh man, just like ones you could barely touch and they would just like faint. You know, they would get sad. And then there's ones that you had to have more nitrogen and ones that would lock out every time, bro. Every time. So it's just like, you just gotta really figure out which one's which. Why is this one doing this? And so, like, for specific strains, would get specific regimens at that point. So, especially that one with the lockout, man. Oh, shit, man.
How do you know? That's the thing, like, so how were you able to know what was lockout and what was maybe the plant was just feeding like crazy?
Basically, we were trying to determine that through trial and error. You started having a lot of die off, and that's really what's the first sign that really gave us, these plants are locking out, they're dying on us, and they're crumbling. So when you have a large quantity where you doing a lot of plants, it's typically something that happens anyways. But when you start noticing like variances in those numbers, that's when you start being like, hey, we need to start doing something.
So looking at what else is going on in your garden to help determine. So if you're like, oh,
exactly,
we've got all of these but not these, or a few of these but not these, like,
well, it would be pretty evident. It would be like the entire, whatever it was that strain, just completely that color. And then whenever we had stuff like that and there was a strain that was mixed up, you could see it real quick because it'd be like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
That one's left out too. You better check it.
Yeah.
Oh, sure enough, man.
Yeah. So it's really looking at like, checking your log. Taking accurate notes is another really good one. But I will always just kind of look at a plant. Like I can typically pull just about any plant out of anywhere and be like, oh, this needs a little bit of this. This needs a little bit of this. Like, and you can tell. Like, I can look at all these plants and be like, ooh, something's up. But it's because James had it cold in here. Right?
Oh, yeah. So, it's definitely because it's cold in here.
So you can tell some droopiness, some wrinkliness of the leaves. That it's a result of there being water. So the soil has moisture in it. And that root zone got cold. And so the cold temperature outside, the cold temperature at the root zone makes the plant react like it's overwatered. If you look at this plant, it looks like it's been overwatered.
No.
But I can tell by the feel of the pot and the temperature of the room when I came in that it's not an overwater situation. It's when this plant warms up, everything will perk back up.
Everything in the room is drooping too.
Yep, exactly.
Besides some of the house plants.
So you can look, you can kind of start to make assessments based off of that. And when you really start looking at little things like, oh, these leaves have been kind of, like the pot's a little light and these leaves have been a little low, right? So I'm going to water it and I'm going to give it like an hour and come back and look. So I come back an hour after watering them and the leaves are flat up again. But then I come back 4 hours later and the leaves are drooping again. So then I water it and they come back up. So now you know that plant is drinking a shit ton of water versus the ones that aren't. And there's sometimes where will have plants that are extremely drought resistant. And this means that you could let those pots go almost completely dry. And they'll be just fine. Right?
Wow.
So, like, I took some of that AK just for fun, and I put it in a pot and threw it outside in the middle of summer. Okay?
Okay.
And watered that thing for a week and a half. At, like, 90-degree days.
Jeez.
It stayed, like, good.
Yeah.
Dry, dude. That soil was so dry. And I sent a picture, brother. I was like, this thing is the most drought-resistant plant I've ever seen. He was like, oh, yeah. Grow that shit in well-drained soil. Perfect. I just know, don't water it a lot. That thing, unless it's like really well-drained soil, don't water it a lot. So then I was like, well, let's see how it does. If it's that like water, if it retains that much water and can just be that fine, let's see how it does in the cold. It's extremely frost resistant.
That's dope.
Like, I think because it can thrive on such little water, it doesn't, like, it's harder sense. For it to freeze. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So I'm like, oh, okay. And this is just through an example, like, I learned this by taking a clone off of the mom and getting rid of the mom. And my process of getting rid of the mom is, let's throw it outside in the hot and see what happens. Let's throw it outside in the cold and see what happens, right? Let's throw it outside in the middle of a bug patch and see what happens. And there's times where I'll watch a plant get like swarmed in like a week. There's times where I'll put a plant out and nothing will touch it. Like, so I can start to see like, and I do that to see what's pest resistant in my area. Because I want to know what I can grow outside without having to worry about a shit ton of bugs and having to fight it off. And I want to know, like, what am I going to get for mold issues and pathogens, like, what grows good out here. So I do it all the time. I'll just, like, put a plant outside in veg form, or if it's, like, the fall time, I'll put a decent plant out in a pot and just see how it goes through flowering. So it'll, like, flower out in the fall. It won't produce me any bud that I can harvest, but it'll allow the plant to go through those terpene development to see if bugs are going to attack it, especially when it gets weak. Because I don't feed them, I hardly water them, and when they start getting dry and hungry and all that stuff, then typically that's when you'll see bugs attack. And weak, then you're like, okay, we got a strong one here. So it's all those little things, I think, but it helps you learn to plant. So if you're keeping clones, I recommend kind of putting them through these tests of, let's see how long we can go without watering before my leaves start sagging out. You know, or let's see how, if they're like showing deficiency and they seem to just be eating, let's see how much we can give them before they start frying out and then just start going water on them.
Hey guys, we're going to go to break. Be right back. Stay with us. Check out these words from our sponsors and be right with you. Don't go away. Don't go nowhere.
Brother Mendel Selections is a United States-based company that carries a wide variety of photoperiod and auto-flowering seeds. Brother Mendel Selections creates genetics with complex terpene profiles and vigorous growth. For great deals on ever-growing list of strains, visit Brother Mendel Selections website at gomendel.com. That's www.gomendel.com for Brother Mendel's premium genetics.
Hello, adventurers. Agent Jim here from Colorado CannaTopia. I just wanted to give you the heads up. If you go on to coloradocannatopia.wixsite.com/Colorado CannaTopia, you'll be able to get the heads up on all our upcoming shows and merch. It's a great place to find information, and pretty soon we'll even have an upcoming blog where you can find articles written by yours truly. Also, you'll be able to find articles written by the Kush Coach. Great gardening information at your disposal. We hope to see you soon. Be sure to check out our newsletter. We can all agree weed should taste good.
Let the world know what's on your mind with all the Weed Should Taste Good apparel from weedshouldtastegood.com. With hats, shirts, hoodies, and all sorts of awesome gear to fit your style, Weed Should Taste Good also has a list of seeds you can grow your own great tasting weed. Visit weedshouldtastegood.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. We forgot to turn on the mic again because, we don't have our tech guy here today, so there's that. Yeah. Jaja, we miss you. Get him a gold chain that says Jaja.
Right.
The Logie Bear. Jaja the Logie Bear. So what do you do? A hashtag Jaja the Logie Bear. Yeah. Throw it down. Yeah, what was I trying to do? Trying to do something, wasn't I?
I don't know.
I don't remember, guys. Was I doing something important?
I'll let you talk for a little bit, though.
Alright, I could talk about stuff.
Talk about it.
What are we talking about? I forgot what the subject was.
Whatever the hell you'd like, I guess. This is our podcast. We can talk about it.
I guess there's that, guys. Hey, did you guys see my cool new bong? Check out my cool bong. Alright, so check this out. I'm gonna set it down so I don't break it. Hold on. Let me get a better camera angle for you guys. For this.
Were we playing with this last night?
Yeah.
Alright. It's going to be kind of a repeat episode. Talking about gardening and talking about this crazy Lego bomb.
I'm excited about it, okay? You leave me alone.
I'll leave you alone. I'm not really going to say shit. My throat hurts, dude. I've been talking too much. I'm gonna let you have it.
The Magneto bong. I like it. That's a good name for it.
Magneto, I dig it too.
Okay, man. So this stuff just like comes apart with magnets. It's the Magneto bong. I'm totally down for that.
Take it.
Finally finished that ball last night, and man, I tell you what, it made me want the sleepy times. But yeah, it makes it really easy to clean. All these little black magnets come out too, so it makes it super quick and easy to clean. I love it. This is Phase Labs. It's a Colorado brand, so I'll probably talk about it a lot, probably just because of that, because I like me some Colorado brands. Dynamite Bong. Yeah. I like that Magneto Bong. No, I'm gonna keep, give me a sticker that says that and slap it on there or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what are some different types of brands of glass do you guys like to use? Do you use any specific types of brands? I got a Helix pipe over here that's pretty cool. I'm gonna grab it here in a second and show you, but it's got a pretty unique feature where when you smoke out of it, the smoke actually comes out in like this spiral helix vortex kind of thing going on. So that's pretty cool. Show you and load it up and we can smoke some weed out of it.
It's a close tie between traditional hashish and flower. I enjoy them both quite a bit. The fuck just happened?
things all freak out on me.
But I typically will smoke flower over concentrates, unless I've got some really good like old school style hash, that I like that a lot.
I don't know, all our cameras are acting weird tonight. They keep like deactivating for some reason.
Oh, we got hacked by that fucking douchebag.
The nervous Nelly. Oh. Dude, the more I break up this Gorilla Glue crossed with Pikmin Goo, the more I love it. And like, so the crazy thing about it is like, I get this crazy different flavor every time I break it up. And right now I'm getting this like grapey, like crazy flavor, man. It's super dank. And jeez, my computer's freaking out right now, man.
Uh-oh.
Alright, there we go.
Lord.
Took me a minute, but we got technical difficulties today, guys. Sorry about that. We got it fixed up. What was it talking about?
I don't know.
This weed that smells good. Alright, so it was smelling like super gassy at first, but now it's kind of like smelling kind of berry-ish. Not up close. I was getting wafted. Maybe it's coming from your joint, man.
Might be. He doesn't got the Pikmin Goo cut, but that's a Gorilla Glue crossed with Pikmin Goo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to rain on the parade of this dank weed that he's smoking on, but I think Pikmin Goo is a hype strain, and the goo that it secretes is sugar. It's not THC. Can't dab it. Can't smoke it. It's nothing special. I hate to say that.
I'm just liking the flavors out these, man. It's tasting dank.
But, well, Pigman's Goo did this drop. They were like, it secretes oil that's THC. And it wasn't. It's called Goo Nation, and is what it was secreting is sugar, like sap, basically. Yeah. And you can get just about any plant to do it. In late flower, you just water basically at nighttime. When moisture content at the root zone is too high at night, towards the end, you'll get that Goo Nation. And maybe Pinkman's Goo was like prone to that, so it was really easy to get it to do it. But ideally, I guess, unless you're making like candy edibles or something, you really don't want that Goo Nation to happen. You know what I mean?
What does it do to the plant?
It literally forces sugar out of the bud. Have you ever you've seen a bud?
Well, what does that do? Is that bad for it?
You don't want to smoke it. Have you ever smoked sugar? Have you ever smoked sap?
I mean, I guess that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's just like it's like involved with a VPD. When there's so much moisture at the root zone, the stomata is closed. It's nighttime. It's just chilling. When there's so much moisture at the root zone, the plant can't do anything with that water, because it'll actually, maybe the stomata is open, because typically when lights go out and the plants droop, there is a massive spike in humidity. That first hour to 2 hours, it'll almost double to triple whatever it is. And then it kind of levels out. But if there's so much moisture, I think at that point it can't dump that water fast enough, so it just starts pushing it out of any orifice that it can, which is any plant cell at that point. And that is the sugar that would be going down to the root zone to feed the microbes. So theoretically, you would be it would be an indication of high flavor, high terpenes, which I think it is. but it doesn't necessarily smoke the best. Like, I've grown flower that had good nation on it, and you kind of peel the sap off because you don't want to smoke the sap directly. But the bud is so dense and sticky and like gooey. Even if you dry it forever, it's still like gooey, but it holds its terpene content, and its flavor is really nice, but it burns black.
So if it's made out of sugar, man, does that mean like... Because like when you're trying to cure your weed, doesn't that have to do with the sugars in the buds?
It can. I mean, curing is more based off of the chlorophyll production. Flavor, like the sugar in the flower, I don't know how much you really want. It's going to help you with weight for sure. Like if you've got a high concentration of like sap basically in your plant, it's going to make for a harder flower, a denser flower.
Okay.
Right? It's going to like stick everything together. It's going to make that shit rock hard. And it's not necessarily a good thing, I think, because now you're also looking at like mold potentially set in. Yeah. Like fungus loves wet, loves dark, and loves sugar. You've got that present on the plant, and now you're like, the plant's almost being like, come on, I'm ready to go. I'm going to decompose any second. As soon as there's a dead cell on me, it's on. But at the same time, I'm like, if you were making edibles, if you were growing that flower for edibles specifically, you're not even going to concentrate down, you're going to go flower into food for the essence of flower. I think anything that's got that high sugar content would make an incredible concentrate, like an Incredibles for candy or something sweet. Because you can bring that sugar over. It's almost like honey or more like a maple syrup. If you ever get Good Nation on your plant, taste it. It's sweet, 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 sweet. And there's very little plant terpenes in there, but you can kind of taste the cannabis through it. It's not psychoactive at all.
Okay. So that would be considered essentially straight. So like sunflowers produce a sap that's essentially collected as a sugar too. So
yep,
like
same
sunflower
thing.
syrup.
Yep,
you know?
Same thing. And that's literally just something that's produced by the plant. So if you're growing indoors and the plant is thriving so well because it's producing chlorophyll and photosynthesis so well that it's just dumping sugars because it's able to produce all these sugars and store them in the leaves while the lights are on. And then at nighttime, it shoots all those sugars down to the root zone. Well, again, if the root zone's not dry enough, it can't release all those sugars out the tips. So first thing it starts doing is pushing it out of like its stomata, basically. Like all the little orifices in the leaves start secreting this sugar, and it is like sugar. It is so sweet. And I've always wondered, like, if you could force a plant to just ooze this and then take that and throw it into some kind of food and, like, catch the essence of the fresh flower, like, maybe it was a floral strain, like a lilac or something, right? Lavender or something like that. You pull that fresh with that sweetness and you put it into, like, a cake or something, like a cupcake. So you've got like this cannabis, this naturally sweet cannabis lilac floral cupcake that comes out, and you've pulled most of the green material through the process of making the cake. I don't know. Shit I think about all the time because there has to be a use for it. Has to be a use for it. We're gonna torch this bitch. Here we go. Get it, son! So I think the sap wouldn't necessarily. I don't know if you'd want to make a temple ball or charis with it, just because that sugar is going to attract mold and encourage fungus to develop. And again, if you're using water, it's most likely that's going to dissolve in the water because sugar is water soluble. So that sap is going to break down in the bubble hash processing making process. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you got it into your charas and it dried out, I don't know. I want to collect it and keep it as honey. Like that's my thing.
Just imagine collecting little vials of little droplets of weed sugars.
No, I've never smoked honey, Don.
I don't smoke honey. That's weird.
Oh, I see. Wouldn't that make a great?
Smoked honey on a blunt. Yeah, I've definitely smoked
honey
on a blunt.
I've heard of honey on a blunt.
So what you do is you lightly smear honey on your blunt to give it a little bit of flavor, and then it also gets it to burn it a little slower.
I feel you.
Okay, so and then there's a unique thing with honey and cannabis. If I'm not. I smoke that. But there's a unique feature between honey and cannabis where it kind of coincides with cannabinoids, I believe.
So, that is a thing. You don't have to smoke it though.
Yeah, I don't think you gotta smoke.
No, you just gotta eat it, and what it is the terpenes from all the other plants around have an effect, because that's a terpene is a terpene. So if you're eating honey that had pollen collected from a bunch of it's really cool because around me there's a shit ton of lavender fields. So I get a lot of local lavender honey, and when you take a teaspoon of lavender honey and smoke a joint, I don't care what it is, the lavender and those fucking work together, and they will relax you, or they'll take a strain that's like highly energetic and mellow it out. And I know people that mix lavender in with their flower when they smoke it, but it's really like the combination. If you've ever eaten a lot, like a highly flavorful food that's like, okay, eat cannabis or smoke cannabis and then go eat Indian food.
Okay.
And the amount of spices and stuff in Indian food will increase the high like a shit ton.
Nah. The high?
It's crazy.
What?
It like affects, yeah. So like you can mix different spices with cannabis, and those different spices will have an effect on your high.
Huh.
Okay, so THC is like the car, right? So THC is going to determine how high you get, right? Whatever terpenes you ingest along with that THC is going to determine the type of high you experience. So if we're smoking, let's just say pure THCA crystals.
Okay.
Pure THCA crystals. And we're just dabbing those. And we're eating a fuck ton of blueberries. We're going to be more mellow. Say we're dabbing the same THCA crystals, but we start smashing a bunch of lemon and like minty stuff. We're going to be more awake. The terpenes and those cannabinoids are going to have an effect. So it's the same thing with like aromatherapy. You start smoking like if you're using THCA isolate or CBD isolate, I highly, highly recommend aromatherapy going along with it. Burn some sandalwood, burn some citrus, burn some lavender, burn some whatever, because those terpenes are gonna affect your senses along with the cannabinoids. Raw honey helps to be local. And you even like multiple, wild type honey where it's like wild flowers. All right, I'm sparking this joint.
Yeah, honey's awesome. It's really good for a lot of different things. So.
Allergies, dude. I actually need to pick up some local honey because that's about the only thing that keeps me from fucking going nuts. Not only this time of year, but in the springtime.
I found some really good stuff that's got chili terps in it.
Oh yeah,
it's like chili honey, dude. It's super good. Sagebird. I don't know if you want to smoke sage.
No, but you could burn sage as an incense.
Yeah.
And then again, if you're consuming like THC isolate, yeah, burn some sage and watch what happens to your high. It's so crazy how you'll be like, oh, I've noticed a difference. Like, I smoked the same weed and just lit some pine incense, and now I feel more awake than I did when I smoked the weed that normally puts me to sleep. Or, like, I smoked some stuff that, like, really boosts my energy level, but I hung out and burned some sandalwood in my house and just literally snacked on, like, some blueberries and shit, and it made me tired. I don't know why blueberry terps make me tired, but they kind of do.
Huh.
I think anything purple makes me tired. I told that to Miles, dude. Miles busted out some dank ass. It was a purple pheno of his M2, but it just reminded me of like old school perps. And he was like, should we smoke this? I'm like, later in the night, this shit's going to put me to sleep. And he rolled a joint anyway, and he looked over at me halfway through. He was like, yep, it's the perps. I was like, I told you, dude. Like, it looks like it. It smells like it. When it's that dark purple and it smells like old school perps, this shit's going to put you to sleep, dude. This shit's heavy. Like old school granddaddy purple, just like 2-3 puffs and you can't do shit.
What about what you drink? Yeah, I've heard that can affect your high too.
Oh, dude, I love summertime because I'll make like these fruit cocktails where it's like orange, citrus, and strawberry and all these things, and then I'll find like terpene combinations that fit that, and you make like a fruit juice, water, tea, sun thing, and drink that while you're smoking, and it's like the high is completely different, but it's the same. It's just you experience it more, dude. I'm telling you, when you start like fucking with other terpenes with your cannabis, and I think that's why I love food so much. Ever wonder why stoners particularly love food and can make either crazy ass food concoctions or make really, really good food? Because their palette of their terpene palette is lined up with the weed. Your flavors are mixing with the shit that you smoked. So you're like getting giggly eating on some savory ass food. Well, the aromas coming off of those are having an effect on you, whether it's like, think about it, you're stoned, you smelled some shit your grandma made back in the day, and now you feel like a little ass kid running around the kitchen at 12 o'clock being a wild dumbass, right? So that all of a sudden comes out. And you start running around the kitchen acting like a teenager, and you're like, why the fuck? I've smoked that strain a million times. I don't understand why I was so fucking dumb last night. Yeah, it was the food you were cooking. The smells coming off of that, absolutely do it. And I love to cook when I'm high because of that. Like when garlic hits my face and I'm smoking a joint, I'm just like, boom, give it to me. And then I'll throw some jalapenos and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I start busting out spices from the counter. Dude, I almost get more high from cooking than I do like smoking more weed. It's crazy. I'm telling you, dude. Smoke a joint, sniff your spice rack. See what happens.
Whoa.
Watch it. Just smoke a joint, crack it open, be like, oh shit. And then sit there for a minute and analyze the high you just changed. And then smell something else and feel it. And be like, what the fuck? It's crazy. All right, sorry.
Man, scientist with terps over here, man, getting it.
Well, it's because our endocannabinoid system, like, works with cannabis and terpenes. So why not play around and tweak with it?
Yeah, so a lot of living things have cannabinoid systems.
Mammals. A lot of mammals, yeah.
Yeah, so like that have to do with like their hunting techniques, you think? Like how they
I mean, so your endocannabinoid system is literally for maintaining homeostasis. Like the whole purpose of your endocannabinoid system is to make sure that your body function is balanced, and that's what homeostasis means, is balanced. So your whole endocannabinoid system is to make sure that your body is not, like, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, all of that is to make sure it's not out of whack. And it can only regulate it so much, but part of that is processed by terpenes. So when you smoke cannabis, the cannabinoids are affecting your endocannabinoid system, and the terpenes are affecting that endocannabinoid system, because we can smell things, and that smell releases certain hormones or certain chemicals in our body. So if you ever notice, like, and this is, I use this example all the time. You ever go to the mountains, take a big deep breath, and feel like you're awake?
Yeah.
You know, and in your head, you're like, oh, it's the oxygen in the air. There's more plants, so I can just breathe cleaner, and that's waking me up. Like, subconsciously, I think most people think that. It's the terpenes in the pine trees that's doing that to you.
Yeah.
You go.
All I smell is pine trees, man.
So when you go up to the mountains and you take that big deep breath, and all you smell is pine, those pine terps are known to wake you up.
That's awesome.
So the terpenes have hit your endocannabinoid system, and it's like, oh, let's trigger this awake response, and that is part of our survival.
Yeah.
You're in the forest. You're outside. You need energy. You need to be alert. You need to be focused, because something could attack you, and you need to find food and water and shelter. So, like, our bodies respond to terpenes like that. And it's the same thing, like, when you smell comfort food, when you eat comfort food, when you have something that gives you, like, reminds you of mama's cooking and takes you back to this place, or reminds you of a really good time or a negative time or something specific, like, that all has an effect. It's really fucking cool. And cannabis just enhances that. THC, CBD, CBN, all those things just kind of enhance that. It's nuts. Black pepper, specifically black peppercorns, 2 or 3 of them, blocks it all out. Like, you could do this big fat dab, be high as shit, I could feed you a couple black peppercorns, and you'd be like, oh, I'm good. Let's do some more dabs.
More dabs, guys. More dabs.
Sniff, sniff, sprinkle, sprinkle, sniff, sniff. Like, fish will take you way back. And it's crazy, man. Like, sometimes you don't recognize a smell until you smelled it later. Like, I remember the first time I smelled burnt rubber and weed, it was like I was a kid riding a bicycle again. Like,
okay, so
smells like burnt sneakers.
we've talked about this before. What about how these smells are directly reflecting to our memories in correlation to the effects in the terpenes, you know what I mean?
Oh, that makes a big sense. 100%. And that's kind of a thing. Like, if you smell something that stresses you out, you're probably going to be stressed out. As weird as it sounds. Like, if your mom used a bunch of chili in the kitchen and was always yelling at you as a kid, every time you smell chili cooking, you might get anxious. So if you have cannabis that has a spicy scent to it when you're smoking it, it could very much give you anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely something to that. What's that doing for you? Just dabby do. I've been smoking a lot of hash today, so I'm fucking out of it. Just couldn't leave the table unless the plate was clean, for real.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, if you're ever bored, play around with your olfactory system, which is your nose. And there's little things you can do. So, like, smoke a joint, go get a handful of jelly beans, and have, like, a partner, you know, your wife, your friend, your kid, whatever. Have them, like, write down the names secretly so you don't know which ones they are. and they're going to hand you a jelly bean, and you have to eat it and describe, like, you have to guess what flavor it is. And you don't want anything super crazy, like lime and green apple, cherry and watermelon, things like that. Also, check out, like, there's all kinds of little stuff you can do to check, like, your palate and see, like, how much you can really identify, or what aromas or flavors, you know, have, like, a way to identify. So, like, pour a glass, this sounds weird. Pour a glass of orange juice, smell it. Just on the top, smell it. And then put some saran wrap over the top and let it sit there and kind of come to room temperature. And then stick a straw through the saran wrap and breathe through it. And taste the orange juice that's in the air of the glass. And you'll smell orange juice in 2 different ways.
That's interesting.
And if you guys don't really understand what I'm saying, it's like, pour some of this water out real quick. Okay, so it'd be like, if this lid was just a saran wrap, I'm going to pull the straw out and just be in the air.
Okay.
And literally just taste the air. But you want your orange juice sitting out for a while. And it's going to be crazy because you're like, I haven't drank anything. How do I taste it? And it's because you're smelling it on the back end of your nose. On the back side of your nose. So everything like that you smell on like the front of your face right here is like the front of your nose. And then when you smell and it gets back down into your throat and into your sinuses, that's like the back.
Okay.
You typically don't taste on the back until you're breathing out. So it's as you're chewing, you breathe. Right?
Yeah.
So we take a bite of food, we chew, and we're breathing. Well, we're pushing air through the back part of our nose out, and that's carrying terpenes the other direction through our nose. So we smell it as we're chewing it, and then we go to take another bite and we breathe in. So we smell it on the front end, we take a bite, we chew it, we breathe out, we smell it on the back end. And it's completely different smells. So you can do the same thing by smelling your orange juice and then breathing your orange juice essentially. And you taste different. And wine people do this all the time where they'll like smell and then they'll, and it lets them hit on the back.
That's interesting.
So you're starting to pick up more flavors. When I went through the Ganjier program, I learned this. When I started eating and smoking flower, my whole life changed. I started like everywhere I went, everything I ate, I started noticing the tastes on the back and the taste on the front, and I started noticing when the taste started like going away and becoming like bland more or less because my taste buds have basically been numb.
Yeah.
So after a certain point, like after about the first 4 or 5 bites of food, you actually stop tasting it.
Yeah.
And you're literally just like almost going nose blind to it.
Yeah.
And so that's why like a lot of fancy restaurants do really small portions, just like 5 courses, because they want you to take like one bite, get this crazy explosion of flavor, wait a little bit, clear your palate with like bread and water, and then the next like blast of flavor, and then clear your palate, so that way you don't go like after like 5 bites of food, you've pretty much got your full course, and your palate isn't like destroyed in the sense that you can't taste things in depth anymore. It's crazy. But after the Gangier program, dude, I really like everything. Dude, I drink a drink and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's a little creamy on the front, but it's a little sharp. I get okay. And I started noticing like more subtle flavors because I started like just every breath I started paying attention. And then once I like found something that I recognized, then I never like recognized it. Like I never noticed it again, and I'd move on to the next one and the next one, and you just start counting. Like your food comes apart in your mouth while you eat. It's kind of nuts. Like the layer of flavor comes through. You're like, oh, there's the cinnamon. Oh, there's the basil. Oh, there's the oregano. Oh, there's the banana and the pomegranate and the blah, blah. Like those go crazy and they kind of one after another.
Hey guys, don't forget about our giveaway that we got going on. It's going to be ending here soon, so be sure to get in on it. Check out the details on our page and you can get on it. Just be sure to follow those details very specifically.
Yeah, ginger will clear your palate. Yeah, okay, so Daniel knows what's up with the brandy. Like a lot of brandy guys do that same shit.
Okay.
Watch, you're gonna next thing you put in your mouth, you're gonna be like, oh fuck. You're gonna smell it on the front, you're gonna smell it on the back, you're gonna be like, that's what he was talking about.
Oh, I already know what you're talking about because that's why I do that all the time when I'm smoking. Yeah, I do that all the time when I'm smoking. I taste it on the back and it's just like, whoa.
Well, and you do it like, you really start noticing super subtle flavors. Like that was the thing that got me. Like I remember eating something and just being like, wow, I never noticed that before. Mm-hmm. I've eaten this dish 100 times and I've never noticed that before.
Gotcha.
And that's really where I was like, have I been tasting food even? Or just like shoveling it in my mouth thinking that I know it tastes good?
Dude, maybe you should try tomatoes again.
No. No, that's one of those things my body is like, you cannot do that.
The terps though, bro.
It's against our rules. Yeah, my body. Yeah, if it smells like tomatoes, my body will reject it. That'd probably be the only weed I'm allergic to.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, some come out with like Prego tomato paste weed and it'll just smell like tomatoes and everybody will be on it, dude. It'll be like the next hype strain. And you'll go to smell it and it'll just smell like a tomato vine and you'll just be like, oh, fuck.
If it's tomato vine, that's one thing, but an actual tomato is another. You know what I mean? What did it taste like? Some pasta sauce, bro? Some straight up pasta sauce?
Not even pasta sauce.
Chunky kind?
Just boiled tomatoes. Not even pasta sauce. Pasta sauce at least has other spices and shit in it. Just boiled tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Just think about gross ass boiled tomatoes.
Or like a green tomato type of flavor,
just like straight up hot tomato soup with nothing else in it but skin and flesh. Just warm ass tomato mush. I hate tomatoes. If you guys don't know, I physically cannot eat tomatoes. I think James is the same way.
Yeah, the same way. I can't do it.
My body rejects them.
Yeah, I'll throw
like literally throw up. Will not let them hit my stomach. Not even the juice, I don't think.
Yeah, it's as soon as I chew into it, I bite the flesh and it's like, ah!
Greenhouse, outdoor, indoor, all tomatoes taste like poop to me.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I think it's because they're a nightshade vegetable. My body is not too thrilled about that. There's a lot of nightshade vegetables that have to be like well cooked before I'll enjoy them. Things like eggplant and other shit. Believe it or not. Peppers.
I don't like eggplant.
Not necessarily. I don't want to say allergic. Like if I was forced to eat a tomato, I wouldn't like break out in hives or anything. My body literally, like if I bite into the tomato, I will vomit before it can get past the back of my tongue. Not even kidding you. Yeah. I will bite into it, and as soon as my teeth break the skin of the tomato, I will vomit. My body just involuntarily projectile vomits. My wife didn't believe me. Went to my brother-in-law's farm, who has an organic farm, was growing some incredibly sweet cherry tomatoes from what I understand. My wife and him both were just picking them off the vine and eating them like candy. She insisted I tried one, so I did. And she's witnessed, on camera I believe, me literally like in the mouth, barely popping the skin and then throwing up. Holy shit, we got Logie Bear with us.
Yeah, this hot box is fucking here.
Logie Bear on the last 15 minutes. Everybody say what up to Jaja.
What's up, Jaja, the Logie Bear?
I'm the only one that can call him that.
Oh.
No, I'm joking.
Jeez, man. I'm not gonna go camping with you this week.
I started that at work. Logan swears this other lady
it was
started
Star,
it.
and
Nope.
you know it was because
Nope.
we were at the freaking.
I never heard her say that. The reason why, if you want to know why, because you reminded me of the stony Yogi Bear. Hey, boo boo.
I'll take that.
And
but
Logan, Logie, Yogi, it fucking fit. So I called you Logie Bear. Star was doing it to be dumb.
Star started it because I had to work up in Rifle. She would call me Logie Bear, and then we did that get together for the bowling party at for the garden center. We went out. You handed everyone a joint, and she goes, "Oh, Logie Bear, you're gonna go smoke with Jeff?" And you went, "Logie Bear?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what she calls me." And then you said, "Your nickname from here on out is Logie Bear." Like that is how that went.
If you can only call him Logie Bear, I get to call him Logie Poo.
I mean, that sounds a little weird. I'm joking. No, I mean, that's where that came from. Logie, Yogi. Like Yogi Bear, but Logan. So watch your fucking picnic baskets, you guys.
Yep.
No, and that's what's really ironic, because if you know Logan, he's always walking around with a bag full of Mountain Dew and cigarettes and Red Bull, which is like his picnic basket. Logie Bear. Hey, coach.
So what did you guys smoke today?
We were just chilling, talking shit.
Bullshitting. Smoking. You want to hit some breakfast in Paris? You've probably not smoked it all yet.
I had to stop at Tristan's on the way here. He had a joint, but I'll still hit it.
Yeah, dude. Like, take a couple deep breaths of this hot box room and pop on that.
And what is that, hash? Or is that weed?
That's just weed, I think. I don't know if he put hash in there.
Now that Jeff answer.
You should have seen the big old dab I took earlier, bro. I only coughed a little bit.
Ranger Jeff.
Oh, man.
That's Ranger Jim.
Ranger Jim to top control. Cushy smoke it. No.
Oh, dude, I'm nice, but you want more of this? You can chill on that joint for
Yeah, I'm pretty hard too.
This room is pretty,
You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it was cold when we came in here, though, so it was like, shut the door, turn on the heat, and this box is big.
Anybody see my dinosaur that smoke?
Would it be stupid to light that? And just let it burn?
Ranger Jeff.
Not bad. Missed a really good trading opportunity, Logan.
What was my trading opportunity?
How to, like, actively boot people off of our YouTube chat.
Dude, technical difficulties too.
We had this cat, like, create 5 different accounts and just troll the chat for the first, like, 30, 45 minutes of our show.
Doing what?
Just like
nonsense.
Just going on about some political bullshit in Canada, and then something about something, and like his name was this long ass link, and then we'd kick him off because he was basically like flooding the comments with bullshit on the YouTube chat, and then pop it. It was just insane.
Yes.
Like, where the fuck is this guy coming from?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you even showed up, man. You got like fucking 10 minutes left.
Well, I figured I'd at least give you a ride still.
I appreciate it.
I got to the shop by, I think it was like 7:15.
Look at that. Danny hashtags the John the Logie Bear. Yeah.
Well, if you're hungry, dude, my wife's making enchiladas.
I ate at like 6 o'clock, 5-ish. We were doing stuff at the store, and I had to lift every single bed, put coasters under them, fix all the wires, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I went until I couldn't go no more. I'm like, I'm hungry.
Well, your truck will be warm now.
It will be.
Fuck.
It'll be warm.
I know what's in that, so I'm gonna take a toke of that.
Yeah, dude, don't feel like you have to pass it up. Fucking middleman shit all day. Get that breakfast. This is the best part of the joint, dude. When you're halfway through, this is where all the flavor's at right here.
Oh yeah.
This is where I'll smoke it down until it burns my mustache, and then let it burn my mustache a little bit more, and then just finish the joint till I can just like end it.
We got the best roach clip.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who aren't above a little like burnt material on your tongue, you ever ate a roach
Oh yeah.
after you smoke?
Yeah.
I don't like the flavor of it.
It's
Smoke down and just, yeah, taste it, dude. Just swallow that bitch.
Just
With this shit so resiny, I don't think you're not gonna taste it.
Just swallow it, pass it back with some water, and I'm telling you, dude, that shit hits like a 20 milligram edible. I mean, you gotta leave a decent stuff. You can't like smoke it down to just the paper. You know what I mean? You gotta leave like at least an eighth or a quarter of an inch or something on your joint.
I'm good.
There's something to it, bro.
Figure if you smoke 8 joints a day, that's 80 milligrams on top of what you smoke.
Maybe turn them into a joint.
That's gross.
You just said eat it. I don't know which. I'd rather just smoke it.
You can't taste it when you taste pills when you swallow it. No.
He's got a point there. He's got a point.
Nobody even likes a relit joint almost. Like if you fucking put out a joint, dude, it tastes like ass the rest of the time.
You're not wrong, but it depends on the weed too. There's some that
Hell no. Once it goes out and cools off, it is not worth relighting.
Start giving me all your roaches there, Jeff, because like,
Actually, I give them to my homeless people.
yeah.
I save them in Ziploc bags till I have a big old, like, almost football-sized pouch, and then I drive by Bum Park and just chuck it out the window.
Nice.
When it's a nice day and they're all just, like, out in their tents and their bikes and doing their, like, tweaky stuff, and then I just fucking bomb them with a nice bag of roaches, dude. And sometimes there's, like, half joints in that shit, and it's all my homegrown. So there's, like, not mids in there. It's like all indoor. There's like no mids in those roaches, dude. Those motherfuckers gotta be happy. Whoever finds that is like the king of Bum Park for the next week. I don't know if it's PC to call it that, but it's literally this park that's like right across the street from the police station, right next to the bus station, that is literally packed with like 20 or 30 tents. If you live in a big city, you probably know the kind of scene I'm talking about, but it's just packed with transients.
But for Grand Junction, it's a small area. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a big, massive spot. It's just maybe one, what you would have a building in. Like, that's the type of size of property that they're all on.
It's like a block.
Yeah.
Literally a square block is what they take up.
It's because it's next to the police station. They're protected, you know.
Yeah.
And then so it's pretty close to a lot of the facilities that help them too. So that's another reason.
Yeah.
So
But
there's reasons for it.
But yeah, it's it's close to the bridge too. Like it is like a convenient location, and it's right in between two busy streets at a light. So there's two intersections, so it's like easy for them to basically beg on 8 corners.
Yeah.
You know, like got a guy on almost every corner over there. So it's, I don't know, it's part of it. But like I said,
You see what I tried to do? I tried to like give it to Logan back up. Go on.
but But it's cool because like people who also want to like feed homeless people, it's really easy to like go out there with a couple long tables and throw up your crock pot and dish out some soup to the homeless people. So it's kind of cool that they congregate there, because if you want to do something good, like it's really easy to pop up and feed 100 people and feel good about yourself for the week. Which is kind of vain after I say it like that, but you know.
We just got a lot of facilities. You know, when I say facilities, we got like a lot of communities that help the homeless, and they go out there and help them a lot. So
that's what I just do. Nobody giving those guys weed. They all got booze and other like facets. I'd at least, dude, if I could bomb you with an ounce of roaches, and you can like be like, oh shit.
That's pretty dope.
And it keeps you from drinking one more beer that day or two more beers that day, or it keeps you from drinking an entire bottle and you only drink half a bottle. Like, that's a fucking win for cannabis in my book. You know what I mean? Like, that, all day, every day. Hopefully they don't pick it up and then get busted by the cops. I'd be feeling bad about that. Did you smoke all this weed in public? You must have. You're homeless. You're going to jail.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah, KC is way bigger than Grand Junction, dude. Our population is 65,000 people.
I thought we were in the 100,000 range.
Dude, we're like 64 and a half, I think.
Did you do it at the same time, at the same day, like?
Bro, okay, I'm not even playing. I'm so high I thought you were wearing a suit right now. That shit looked like a black tuxedo with like a white fucking... I was like, what the hell are you wearing? And then I was like, oh shit, it's blue.
This jacket, man. This jacket's dope.
Oh, fuck. I was like looking for a bow tie. What the fuck is going on, dude?
I got something better. I got the Colorado CannaTopia shirt on.
Seattle has the most homeless, and it said all they want is heroin or fentanyl. Oh, shit, man. That's fucked up. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Heroin, dude. I blame the pharmaceutical companies for that problem. They're the ones releasing the fentanyl. They're the ones who got everybody hooked on heroin through their damn pain pills. I remember, dude, in the late 90s, like, I remember in 98, OxyContin was like the easiest drug to get.
That's really hard.
Like, dude, they were prescribing that shit to 14-year-old kids. Like, it's a great painkiller and it's non-addictive. Like, it was bad.
So now they don't prescribe it like hardly at all. Like me going through pain management and stuff, the stuff I went through, as extreme as mine was, as extreme as my case was, they still want to give me medicine, man. And it wasn't until like it was with the very last little bit where I got a little bit of pain medicine, but cannabis, man. That's why cannabis is such an important aspect for me, is because like there's nothing else that they're willing to give people like me that has chronic pain for pain management in any way. So it's like you got muscle relaxers, stuff that helps your muscles from twitching and stuff like that, which can be beneficial for some people. It's not beneficial.
Now that holy smoke from Mendel was the one that did it for me. It was just after working at the store and delivering mattresses all day. That first day I had 14 deliveries, and a bunch of them were beds that weighed 300 to 500 pounds that I'd have to go and haul upstairs. And the most I picked up was a 75-pound bag of dirt. So it was a hell of a workout. And I went to Jeff's, and he has some of the holy smoke, and that shit within minutes of taking a hit of it, because we had rolled a joint of it and I had the tincture, I felt perfect afterwards. That next day I ended up feeling like shit when I woke up, and it would have been nice to have been able to have like a supply of it, but it did miracles.
Dude, that holy smoke is. There's something so special to that plant. Like, for me specifically, like when I smoke it, I just feel like we were talking about homeostasis and that balance. Like when I smoke it, I feel balanced. Like my whole body, my vision seems on point, my hearing, my thinking, my speech, my balance, like everything. I feel like I'm sharp, and I'm just like, oh, this is what it feels like to like feel normal.
Yeah.
And I love it because like I can smoke it in the morning, it gets me going for the day, and I can smoke it at night and I sleep great. Like it's one of those that is like a legitimate medicinal variety. And this is why like I get a lot of people who hit me up and they're like, man, I don't understand why Mendel does 1-to-1 strains. I don't understand, like they're not that. I'm like, have you ever actually smoked a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 or a 1-to-3 or whatever? Like when you really experience that like CBD introduction and with certain terpenes and cannabinoids, there is a level of medicinal value that I think is overlooked by most breeders. And to have that nice combination of CBD and THC present in varieties is huge. Like Brother Mendel did a Condorza Kush, which is like a 1-to-1 that's focused towards like midday type consumption where it's not going to lay you out, but it's functional, like pain type management.
Yeah. And I hadn't had anything though that relieved like sore muscle pain like that. And salves, they help, but it's not like, and that holy smoke like almost eliminated it in a way that you're not groggy. And that, like you were saying, so that was the thing that just had me sold on that one particular pheno, at least that you.
Well, and that's just it. That pheno, I guess, particular, and I'd love to hunt some more out of that pack or out of that variety. But like the tincture that comes from the holy smoke is like it's another level, and it's a hash producer too, by the way. If you want to wash, hey, if you want to make some dank, stinky ass, like gassy, nutty, fruity type hash, holy smoke is your beast.
What's your favorite type of hash? So,
what do you mean?
like as far as strain?
Oh. Honestly, the grape flow.
Grape flow. What was it?
So it was a freebie I got from Ethos in like 2019 at a show. And I grew out 3 phenos, and I found this one pheno that was, it actually won me a bunch of photo contests. And it was absolutely gorgeous. So I did a fresh frozen run of it, and it was like taking a dab was like smoking a menthol cigarette. It cooled your nose and throat and lungs.
No.
Like inhaling, like if you smelled Vicks Vapor Rub, it was like that. And it would wake you up. Like your eyes would open. Like, you ever see those guys who get knocked out and they take that weird shit, crack it open under their nose, and they're like, it was like that. Like just straight up. It was so crazy, and it had this like sweet aftertaste that just kind of hung out in your mouth forever. And it would have this like cake batter. And I did it as like fresh frozen and then pressed it into rosin, and it was hands down one of my favorite. And I was, to this day, I was upset that I lost that cut. And I almost got it back one time, but it had russet mites and I had to ditch it. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But hopefully we can show the camera this picture too, because it was, that particular plant was like straight out of a High Times magazine. Not even playing. Not even playing. Even on my phone, dude, when you look at this, you're going to be like, get out of here with that. I promise you. Looks like cotton candy on a plant. It's frosty. Here's the rosin from it.
Nice. Okay, so that rosin came from the plant, which was
Just got a lot of photos.
dude, it's insane how many photos I have. Alright, so that's a close-up kind of the bud.
Oh, damn.
That's like the whole bud, and I had like 3 tops like that. That was the whole plant.
Okay.
Dude, she was just gorgeous. And that was great flow for me. But I have another one in here called Coach's. It was Mendel's Breath Coach's Cut. And it tasted like a strawberry juicy fruit or strawberry starburst type thing. And I swear, like, that didn't have the strongest, like, it didn't punch you the hardest. But I'm an epileptic, and that particular cultivar hit really home for me after I had like a really big seizure, and my whole body hurt. My brain was in this static mode. It was really hard to focus, and I remember like just loading a bowl because I couldn't even focus to roll a joint. I stuff a nug in a pipe and take like 2 or 3 hits, and that static starts to go away and my body relaxes. The pain's gone. Like, my vision can kind of come back. It was really something that I was like, holy shit, dude, this is the first strain I've ever had that's like brought me back from a seizure so well. And I held on to that for a really long time, and I ended up losing it due to some dumb decisions I made in my garden. But I have a bunch of seeds that I'm fixing to pheno hunt to try and find that cut again, because it was so like so important how it like affected my body. But it was the most amazing flavor, dude. If anybody busted out Coach's Cut indoor or out, I could smell it. I had a plant hanging in my garage for 6 months, and then I gave it to Logan and his buddy swore up and down it was indoor. Right?
Yep.
Like, insane. So, dude, it's 8 o'clock.
Yes, it is.
You better sign off. You guys, we thank you so much for joining us this week. We just cut it off real quick, but yeah, it's about that time. And if you guys ever have any questions or anything, please feel free to hit me up, hit James up, hit Logan up if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
And check out some of these. Make sure you check out our sponsors. Show Brother Mendel some love. Show us at gomendel.com. Check out Miles at weedshouldtastegood.com. Throw those guys some love. Check out what they got going on, because there's always good shit happening with those guys, and they're just good people and deserve support. Out of all the bullshit going on in the cannabis community, I think 2 solid people that are trying to do some good shit deserve solid support. So go buy a pack for Miles. Go buy a couple packs from Brother Mendel. Pop them out. Show them some love in your grows. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next Monday.
Take it easy. We love you.
Brother Mendel Selections is a United States-based company that carries a wide variety of photoperiod and auto-flowering seeds. Brother Mendel Selections creates genetics with complex terpene profiles and vigorous growth. For great deals on ever-growing list of strains, visit Brother Mendel Selections website at gomendel.com. That's www.gomendel.com for Brother Mendel's premium genetics.